pretty sure you were trying to kill me this morning.
Man, it was fun. I could have gone for another hour, honestly. It was getting hot though.
Dude, you know when you're on an e-bike and your heart rate's 167, that you're riding some hard shit. Oh my gosh.
That's becoming a thing right now. Like I'm seeing like this divide between the e-bikers that feel like it should still be fitness, and then the fun e-bikers. That's becoming something that people are kind of buying bikes off of.
Yeah.
Like whether or not the bike will be too easy to ride.
Right.
So,
No, I mean, it was a workout today.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I was not planning for a workout.
Yeah.
But I got one. And if my voice sounds scraggly, it's because Dane tried to kill me.
Nah, just a little bit.
Okay. I got a joke for you.
Okay.
What kind of mice can walk on 2 feet? What kind of mice can walk on 2 feet?
Man.
What kind of mouse?
Mouse?
Maybe it's mouse.
Meese? Not a clue.
Mickey Mouse.
Okay, that's
Okay, now what kind of duck can walk on 2 feet?
Donald Duck.
Dude, all ducks walk on 2 feet.
Okay. At first I was like, this is a stupid joke. And then you pulled up out of the nosedive.
So kudos to my son, Matt Anderson, who did that joke on me last night.
Nice.
He was so proud of himself.
Yeah, that's decent. So that is a better dad joke than most. So
Right on, man. Well, we haven't seen each other in a minute. I've been in Costa Rica, which was rad.
slumming it.
Well, I'll share one note of something that we experimented on for our listeners, and I thought was really cool. We were able to upcycle our experience while simultaneously downcycling our cost of this trip. And we did that by traveling with 3 different families in addition to ours. So we had 17 people total. And we rented this totally pimped out compound with all the stuff.
Yeah.
Hired a chef to come in and cook for us. And we all did it cheaper than you would do a hotel room in restaurants. It was just fantastic. So if you can find I think the key is you got to find the right families
that you want to deal with,
that you can actually deal with. Right. And have a little bit of separation of church and state.
Yeah.
But it was so rad that at the end, everyone was like, well, where are we going next?
Yeah.
Right. This was awesome. So
yeah. That's how we used to do the team back in the day is, we'd have at least 10, we had 50 people on the No Brakes team. And we would travel to races together and rent big cabins and make it cheaper for everybody.
It's amazing with quantity of volume.
Yeah.
What you can do there. And shout out to Pura Vida Rides, which is in Las Catalinas, Costa Rica in the Guanacaste region. Great bike shop, rental shop there. Interesting town that's a walking town modeled after some Italian towns, I believe, but there's 40 kilometers. I don't know what that is in miles. I'm not that smart, but there's 40 kilometers of purpose-built single track. This looks sweet. So if you're there and it's the weather is permittable, check out Las Catalinas in Guanacaste. It looked like it was pretty rad. Right on the water. You're running over top of the
cool.
beach and all that stuff, cliffs.
On the cliffs looking over. Yeah. That's a destination.
Yeah, for sure. And they had real great bicycles, name brand, high end e-bikes, regular bikes, everything. You can rent whatever you wanted, which we didn't know in Costa Rica what we were going to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pura Vida, which is they're saying for I guess live life or pure life. That's a Costa Rican saying, but that was rad. And then we've been building out. We bought a transit van, so we've been building out that. We'll talk a little bit about the products and stuff as we go through today.
That's a huge project.
It is.
Can't even imagine.
I tell you what, if you really want to test your relationship with your partner,
it's like a tandem.
Design a van build at the same time together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I finally sat Lacey down and I was like, okay, what is we can each pick one thing that you have to have.
Yeah.
And for me, it's I have to store 4 bikes inside the van.
Okay.
So whatever we do, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But we have to store 4 bikes inside the van. So we're kind of going through that whole process, but I feel like we're newlyweds again, figuring it out.
Yeah, that's hard too because I saw it. It's not like the super huge stretched one. It's not oversized.
It is.
It is?
It's the longest transit you can get and the tallest transit you can get.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's called Transit High Roof EXT.
And you're still having a hard time getting 4 bikes inside it?
Yeah.
I watched a couple episodes of some YouTube channels where they're doing vans.
Yeah.
More or less on like the Chevy Express, like we have.
Okay.
And
a lot less room in those.
Yeah, and you're bending over and stuff, and just it's amazing how people will convert these things. They're just amazing. So,
well, ours is going to look more like a warehouse than a luxury suite.
Yeah,
but it'll be functional.
Yeah.
Anyways, good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Our last episode's doing really well.
Yeah, the China episode.
Yeah,
Chinese products. Just for clarity. We got a lot of comments, a lot of engagement. Thank you, all for listening and sharing it.
Great engagement.
On that episode. Awesome. I want to make sure it was clear, like we're not advocating for those brands or those products.
Yeah.
We were really just saying, hey, this is something that's happening.
Yep.
Yeah. What should we do about it? They're coming.
Yeah.
They're here.
Yeah. Just kind of
aware,
showing people, and it's our perspective, we're in the States, so we're not as global. We don't know what's going on in Europe. And so a couple of our European listeners let us know that, which is great.
It's a global market. What's getting disrupted, you jackass?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, that was just our perspective on what's going on. Yeah. So, and it's keeps going. It's crazy.
And we don't mind the comments that challenge us.
No.
I think that's okay. And we understand everyone's perspective, and there's a lot of trolls. That's one thing we've been trying to teach each other is that there's some trolls out there and we can't let the trolls bring us down.
I tell you what, I read those. There was no trolls in there. They were really cool people that just had their perspective, and it was really helpful. And it makes us better if we get those. So we really appreciate people chiming in.
And 99.6% of them we will listen to and pay attention to, and 0.4% we're just going to put right in the trash.
Yeah.
And not let it bring us down.
It's true. So,
all right. So we got a shop talk episode today.
Yep.
If you're just, to remind each other, this is one of our three formats: shop talk, bike shop secrets, and then special topics. Today's shop talk, and we break shop talks into 4 different categories. What are people talking about? What grinds our gears? Is the hype real? And bang for the buck. And we've got a handful of topics to go over. You want to start? You want me to start?
You start, because you were talking about SRAM, and I was really interested
that I was talking about SRAM.
Yes.
I actually have 2 things in this category. Okay. I'm breaking form, but that's okay. So the first thing I thought was interesting, and I don't own a downhill bike, never owned a downhill bike. I've ridden a downhill bike a couple times, just rentals at bike parks.
Yeah.
They're fun. Yeah. Big. I really don't know how to ride them. Yeah. But man, are they forgiving?
Yeah.
That much is true. But I frankly don't pedal a lot on a downhill bike, not as much as you would on a different type of bike, and don't think you need as many gears. So I don't think a lot about the drivetrain when I'm talking about a downhill bike. But I saw that SRAM released a downhill version of the transmission drivetrain, 7-speed. And they're calling it SRAM XX.
DH.
SRAM XX DH, Axis transmission, 7-speed. Comes with cranks that were 150 to 165, which I thought was interesting that they're going small. They're following that trend of the smaller. But then I saw it was $2,000.
Yeah.
I was like, when I think of a downhill bike, I don't think of, the drivetrain, and I'm like, man, people spend $2,000. So you're a downhiller, man. How did you respond to this?
So I've been riding the SRAM XO DH group for years. So
okay,
and
is it 7-speed as well?
7-speed,
okay.
Yeah, and shorter derailleur.
That makes sense, right?
Gets it out of the rocks more.
Yep.
It's my DH cranks. I have the XO DH cranks, which are beefed up version.
Are they carbon or are they aluminum?
Carbon. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I took my chain guides off. So that's kind of controversial, and we're in really rocky terrain. But back in the day, when I was back in the day, you would have to run a front chain guide. Otherwise, the bouncing would just take your chain.
Is that before the derailleurs had clutches built into them?
And before narrow wide.
Oh, so, okay, yeah, right.
And so
maybe it's worth just expanding on that. Make sure.
So narrow wide chain rings, the profile advances the chain onto the chain ring and straightens it as it's coming on. So your chain doesn't walk off of the chain ring if you've shifted up to your easy gear and it's at an angle.
Right.
The tooth that's wide keeps the chain straight and lets the narrow one come up next and get into it. And then that one keeps it straight, which then lets the wider one straighten it again. And so that narrow wide has been a big revolution in making 1-by work. And
so a combination of that and the clutch,
yeah,
which stops the derailleur from bouncing so much.
Yeah, because the rear, as the rear goes through stuff, you can get this kind of like when you take a hose and you kind of whip it,
yep,
and you can get that little hoop to go all the way down. The chain does that too, and it can whip the chain right off the chainring. So
dun, 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 yeah. dun, dun. I don't think we're supposed to sing. We're going to get like.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that. Like
YouTube's gonna.
Yeah, what do you?
YouTube's gonna block
no
us.
No copyright because I just
hummed.
Yeah,
I just hummed Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, I know. I love Salt and Pepper. So anyway, back in the day, we didn't have that narrow wide, so we would run single speed chain rings.
Yep.
So they didn't have shift ramps, but they would still, if you shifted up to your easy cog, they would be at an angle and they would try and walk down. So you'd have some sort of chain guide, either a gated,
hold it on.
Yeah, a gated one or a pulley one. Like the old school ones were MRP, and they had these orange pulleys on the top and the bottom, and they would guide the chain on. So no matter what angle, it would stay on, and it felt kind of like a tractor.
Right.
So I don't know. A few years ago on one of my downhill bikes, I broke my chain guide, and I had a narrow wide chain ring on it, and I just noticed that my chain wasn't coming off, and so then it was plastic.
Just take it off.
Yeah, so I just started, pieces broke, and I'm like, I'll just take it off and see how it does. And man, I raced like 3 seasons like that and didn't have it. Now, I can't say that that's going to be the same for every bike, because we know that some high pivots will have some chain lengthening that may cause that to be an issue. And so that could get a little too overwhelming for some narrow wides to stay on. So you still may need a chain guide on some bikes.
So what do you think about this drivetrain? I mean, like, I know with the transmission, one of the cool things is that you got power you can shift under load.
Yep.
Which I can imagine in a downhill bike would be sweet, because you're moving really fast through janky stuff.
Yep.
And being able to not have to think about when you're shifting and all that stuff, that can be beneficial. But I just can't wrap my head around $2,000.
I think SRAM's premise is that it's Premier Group. It's like World Cup level.
Okay.
So money's for them is a little less of an issue, but I've already heard there's a lower end group
coming out.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And but what they're doing is they're kind of moving their T-type ecosphere, into the downhill.
Okay.
So now you have direct mount derailleurs. So they directly mount to the bike, and they really are mounting on the axle. So they're a much stronger interface. The derailleurs are more modular, so if you tag one on a rock and break a piece, you can often get just pieces. They're more durable for taking hits. The downhill group is shorter, so I think what it is SRAM just trying to make the new stuff that they've put out for everybody else also for downhillers, okay, so that the downhillers aren't running. Like if you're a SRAM athlete, think about that. If you're a SRAM athlete and you're running like 6-year-old, SRAM technology, I think they want to fill that need.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's interesting. Like the trend. I mean, do you have any thoughts on this? I hear people talk about this whole trend. I think it's the center of it's like Whistler with these kids running chainless.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think chainless downhill races should be a thing. I think that's awesome. And we were at Angel Fire one year riding the lift, and this rider had no chain. And we were like, so what's up with that? And they're like, yeah, I just can't afford a derailleur, and mine's all hashed up, and I have worn out chain rings, and I can get down the mountain fine like this. So like
at that point, he's not thinking about pedal kickback or any of that stuff. He's just like, it's just out of necessity.
Yeah. And if you think about it, there is no pedal kickback, right?
With no chain.
And so, and there's a certain level of like training that you can get where
teaches you how to pump.
Yep.
You can't make up for it in strokes.
Yep, exactly. And to keep off the brakes and be able to use the flow. And so I think it's great. I think there should be some chainless downhill races. I think that would be a really exciting, fun thing to do, and kind of show talent versus technology. Somebody talented on a chainless bike, the talent is going to show more clear than the technology.
I think you would crush it on a chainless bike.
I want to go to one of our parks and try it. Like, I think it'd be cool. The only thing that freaks me out a little bit is, if you are, On the racing, you're usually not doing this, but on just riding bike park, you can get into situations where you have to kind of wheelie drop or come off an obstacle where you have to give it a good stroke to get your front end up.
You lose that ability.
And you lose that ability. And so there is techniques that you would have to change. But I think the downhill racing doesn't see that as much. Yeah, because you're just going so fast.
Right on. Well, that was my first one.
Cool. And then I had one.
Go for it.
So I think, so this is the segment of what are people talking about?
Yep.
Biggest thing I'm seeing is price. Price of stuff, how much stuff is, the price drop. Like there's a bunch of things dropping in price, but also like you mentioned on this drivetrain, it's high price,
right?
You know, and so notably like Specialized lowered the price on a bunch of their bikes. Norco has this new e-bike that came out, the Sight, and they put in a different motor system and it's alloy to lower the price, and it seems to hit a much more comfortable price range.
Yep.
You know, and then Amflow has a new bike coming out, although nobody knows when it's going to get to the States anyway. The rest of the world has it.
We've heard some rumors on why, but we won't talk about it because we can't substantiate them.
But so far in the States, they're not released other than to YouTubers. But it's that's true. I'm not kidding. The marketing bikes is what they are.
Okay.
You know.
Yep.
But that bike is like going to be $49.99. So which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then the Walmart bikes, you know, I was watching
Ozark Trail.
Yeah, the full suspension and a hardtail, you know, hitting these really budget points, and so it's doable, I guess, is the question.
It's interesting that Pink Bike just did a value bike test.
Yeah.
And one of the bikes they tested was a
Walmart.
Was an Ozark Trail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, it kind of changes what Walmart's trying to do. I think that's a different bike than...
I mean, the owners are big mountain bikers, so it's no surprise, right?
Yeah, or at least the relatives of the owners. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, me neither.
So,
I don't really know what I'm talking about.
But people close to Walmart are really into bikes. Yeah.
And I mean, that's why Bentonville is what it is, right?
Yeah. So, you know, there's a couple direct-to-consumer companies that are coming out with cheap bikes. So I'm trying to figure out is lowering the price something. So we're dealing with a brand, and I'm not going to bring up this brand, and you don't need to either. Because it's not one that you're thinking of, because we haven't talked about this. But there's a brand that we just we're looking at getting their new bikes, and I looked at their bikes and I compared them to one of our popular brands, and they were hitting about $600 to $800 cheaper for a comparable bike, and they're similar brands.
Right.
And I was like, wow, how are they doing that at the same, for the most part, you know, like in our
same kind of spec.
Yeah. And, you know, brand cost that we talked about in the China episode. And so I'm like, how are these two companies have drastic price difference at the same equipment, same specs, probably the same everything. And why is one cheaper? And then I will give you the bike shop perspective. What I looked at is the margin with one company was healthy and something we could sustain, and the other company was not.
So it was you. They're just screwing you.
They were just lowering our ability to make money. And I'm not kidding.
So you're like, no, I don't think I'll carry that.
Well, so that's the thing. So like people want lower price, and these companies are trying to figure out the creative ways to have the lower price. This particular company just decided the bike shop should get less, and that weighs on my decision, you know. And so,
you sure you don't want to call the company out?
No, because you know, I think one of those things is like this is what they are trying to figure out. You know
who you are.
Yeah. So is that company actually getting the bike cheaper? No, they're not selling it any cheaper. They're just making the required. See, here's the key that bike shop people have to deal with.
The required price.
Required to sell it at, or it's the minimum that we can sell it at. So like I could mark it up and make it equal to the other brand,
but you're not going to sell it.
But you can just go online and see that I'm now charging more, and then I'm the bad guy.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep.
And so they're basically saying this is what you have to sell it at, and we've just raised your cost. And so they're not taking a hit, but they're lowering their price. And I don't know if that's the right way to go, because some of the comments from China were, you know, America has too much, our stuff's too expensive and things like that. And there's too much, bikes are too expensive and stuff. And I looked at this scenario and I go, here's two companies have the same product, roughly the same cost. And one just lowered the MSRP to be more competitive.
Yep. But they just did it downstream of themselves.
Yeah, they didn't do it to themselves.
Right.
Like, I would like to see them take the hit.
And I think that's an interesting thing. And a lot of the comments, people talking about price.
Yeah.
In all the comments on the China episode. And
yeah,
we didn't talk about this really, but like, will this downward pressure on the industry make price more important?
Yes.
And ultimately bring the price down of many products, because companies are going to have to have offerings that are more affordable.
Yeah.
And in order to compete.
Where are they going to find that? If these companies are getting their stuff from these Chinese manufacturers, are they going to now be able to demand a lower price? They're competing with themselves. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird. So that was the thing that people are talking about. What did you have a third one?
I do.
Okay.
This is something, and maybe it's not everybody talking about, but because I'm building a van right now in the van life community, this is something that's talked about. So I'm trying to figure out how to fit 4 bikes inside the van.
Yeah.
And I ran into this product that I'd never heard of, this company I'd never heard of before, which is Freedom Coast, USA product, which I think is kind of cool to highlight since we just did an episode on China. So let's talk about USA for a second.
Yeah.
But they're a California company, Freedom Coast, and they make an adjustable fork mount that can work with L-track, or you can mount directly to a flat surface like a board, or the side of your truck, or the bed of your truck or whatever. And it has many different like mounting options, adapters, angles that you can put it at to move it up, down, backward, forward, just like a super flexible fork mount to hold your bike, with the front wheel off as you're transporting it.
Yeah. It looked really cool. Like not just that you could angle it different angles to change where the bike is lengthwise, but then there was 2 different heights that you could put the end caps in, and you can change end caps.
Yeah.
And then the L-track stuff I think is cool because
you can slide it around.
Yeah. So if you're putting different bikes in all the time and not always the same ones, your mounting points may need to be in different, or at least your spacing may need to be different. Yeah. Or after your trip's done and it's just you and Lacey and maybe the kids aren't going and you're only taking 2 bikes, now you can respace them and you don't have to unmount them or anything like that. You can just slide them over. So
yeah, I may look at some little pieces of L-track to mount to the board and see how much vertical, whatever. I don't get the details.
Yeah.
The downside is these are expensive.
Yeah,
it was $160 for one.
Wow.
Plus, and you get one set of adapters, plus $20 more if you get a different set of adapters. So like the adapters it comes standard. The ones I ordered came standard with like a 15 by 110 boost.
Yeah.
But we also have gravel bikes, which are 12 by 100, I think.
I think that's cheaper than if you bought like a 1-up, rack to put in. Because a lot of people do that with sprinters. They'll put a 1-up mount on the side and put the bike sideways.
So I spent $680.
Okay.
On 4 fork mounts.
Okay. Yeah, that's pricey. Talking about prices coming down.
But I think these things will last forever.
Do you think China will have them next year?
At $25? Maybe. But I don't feel bad about my purchase and supporting a U.S. company.
So Freedom Coast, we knew about it because they make some cool SRAM access pod mounts.
Okay. You actually have them in the shop.
Yeah, we have them in the shop. They turn the access pods sideways so that your buttons are next to each other instead of above each other.
Okay.
One above the other. And so it gives you more ability to kind of fine tune where you want to put those buttons. They're kind of cool. I want to put some on my bike and try them out because I'm still not, I still feel like the electronic shifting buttons are never where I want them.
Do you remember like what those things cost?
I don't.
I'm looking at it. On their website, they're $54.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
They're machined aluminum. You get them in anodized colors. I got some in that are like I can't remember what they call them, but they're like Kashima looking. So they would match your Fox suspension and stuff. So I think they're cool. And I think for people that are struggling with where their thumb is.
Yeah.
And we even have some people that have come in with arthritis,
right,
and they're riding access.
Like, I need this in a different location.
Just because they literally having issues with their joints, and so I think I like that solution. So,
well, the product seems just bulletproof, really well. I mean, the manufacturing, the finish, the fit, everything is just they're fantastic.
A lot of companies,
you're paying for it.
Machining companies doing stuff. So we got Rev Grips.
Yep.
who's a machining company. So I'm running their stem.
Yeah. You can go back to Thompson.
5Dev.
5Dev.
Yep.
Freedom
Coast. There's another one. I can't remember who it is, but they're oak components.
Okay.
So
I think I've seen they make levers. I've seen levers. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some cool machining companies that are like, I think they just take up machine time making these little projects until some aerospace company hires them to make something that makes them money.
Well, I think that's what Thompson does. Well, I think they do aerospace and bikes.
Yeah. And a little squirrel is back in the 90s. There was a big push there was a big slowdown in aerospace in machining. And there was a big push for...
We've talked about this on the podcast before.
USA. Yeah. And so a bunch of machine companies were started to make really cool bike stuff.
Yep.
And then as soon as that industry turned around, they went away and started making...
Because they're making the big profits with
exactly,
defense.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Okay, so now we're on to grind the gears.
Yeah. So what first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, so we have had, since we switched from tubes to tubeless, we have, there's obviously all kinds of great benefit. There's less weight. There's no more pinch flats. But one of the cool features that's happened, I think, since we switched is the ability to repair a puncture without having to remove the wheel or remove the tire. And so we do that when there's a puncture, with a bacon strip, or we've talked about the Stan's Dart product. There's other products out there too.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. But what doesn't exist, and because this keeps happening to my wife, which is why this is a big deal, at least not that I know of, is I don't believe there's a product that from the outside of the tire, you can repair a sidewall tear. That's like, and this could be just a simple patch that could go over it. Why doesn't that exist? Yeah, so that you don't have, like Park makes some that you can put on the inside, but then the inside is all full of stands or sealant or whatever. And so to get it clean is like impossible. You're never going to be able to use that thing. I think it's like their TBH one or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but why is there not an external patch to just get you home? Not something that's going to last forever, but just to get you home.
Like just for the sidewalls.
Just for the sidewalls.
Because I could see where if it's in the knobs, it's just hard to make it contour.
No, just sidewalls.
But the sidewall is, you're right. Like, can't they have something that just kind of vulcanizes? Yeah,
just like an old school tire patch.
I know people use old patches and they've done that, but you've got the external air pressure pushing, and there's a certain time that glue has to set up. And so I wonder if it's the problem is on the trail, you need to air it up right away. So it has to be airtight immediately. And so a proper vulcanization doesn't have a chance to do that.
I don't know. But it seems like in 2026, this should be a possible thing.
Like, what about a super glue patch? Like, would that work? Or is there like a super glue for rubber? Yeah. That isn't like...
Or is it just super glue?
Yeah. Yeah. I think super glue gets brittle. I've tried to super glue Legos and they don't super glue. Have you ever tried that?
No.
It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, you need
some chemical response or something to the plastic.
Yeah, the plastic doesn't. I have no idea
you're not a chemist.
Not at all. But I do know that there's like certain Lego it's like welding plastic. It's a chemical welding plastic or something they use. So I know that super glue doesn't work on a lot of stuff, and it works on our fingers. Awesome, and that's kind of what it was developed for.
Well, let's put this out there. If you're a chemical engineer, and you think you have a way that we could solve this simple, cheap solution, that we could, have something I carry in my pack that I can just pull off, clean it off, and stick it on and get my ass home.
Yeah.
Like I think that would be a popular product.
So I saw on YouTube or Instagram or something, I'm not really sure, this advertisement that comes up, or video. There's always a video, and it's really an advertisement, but it's interesting enough to watch. And there was this water leak going on, and they took this like
Flex Seal or something.
It was like this. It was like a big stick of rubber type stuff that would squeegee it out. Just think like toothpaste, but big.
Yeah.
And they just toothpaste across this flowing, outpour of water, and it sealed it right up. And I'm like, if they can have that, can't we have something like that for?
Well, I tell you what, next time that episode or that advertisement pops up,
we should buy some.
Take the name. Let's try it. Let's just see. Maybe something already works.
Yeah, and it was to metal too, so it like went on metal.
Yeah.
So, and you'd think that
we don't even need metal.
Yeah, I know. So,
all right. That's something that grinds my gears, is that solution does not exist, as my poor wife struggled to get home again with a sidewall rip.
So, mine is a product of you sending me what we're going to talk about at a certain time. Where something was happening in the shop where I was like pissed about. So, and,
so I triggered you.
Well, you timed it to where something was going wrong, or not wrong, but it was a frustration we have at the shop.
Yeah.
And so normally this doesn't bug me that much because it's not happening.
So Ben's like on the side texting me, "Hey Josh, don't talk to Dane about this right now."
Well, it's not even that. So what the scenario is we get a lot of customers that come in with these super low cost e-bikes that they're using for commuting.
Okay.
And they just want to find a way around. They don't want to spend $5,000 on a high-end e-bike. And so they're just looking for the cheapest possible thing off of Amazon or wherever. I've seen them at Walmart. I've seen them all over. You can get them all over.
Yep.
And they're inexpensive. And the scenario that grinds my gears is that they are just trying to keep their wallets from being emptied and get to where they need to go. So they don't have any ulterior motive, you know, and they get these things like, let's say it's $600 or $700, you know, I'm 6, 7. I'm not sure, but around that range, which we can't touch. We won't sell anything that's even close to that.
No.
Sometimes they're scooters, sometimes they're bikes, sometimes they're like, it looks like a scooter, but it has pedals. Like, it's weird. But they come in, they often have the motor built into the wheel. And they often have weird size wheels that we don't normally stock, although we've started to stock more tubes. But what grinds my gears is that the customer has this perception of how much things should cost based on what that thing costs.
Right.
And the manufacturer of these things do not make it easy for these to work on or deal with in any way. Right. And so our labor cost is much higher. The time that we have to spend on these things
could be half the price of the bike.
Is so high. Yeah. Like changing a mountain bike flat, even with cush core in it, is so much easier than dealing with one of these things with all of the stuff bolted onto the back, trying to get the wheel off, to not hurt the wires in the motor, to lift it, you know, and not have it just drop out of the stand as soon as you loosen the bolts on the wheel. And then the customer's expectation is this should be like $10. And they, you know, we should just take care of it while they wait. And there's so many disconnects that are happening. And
just when you thought the nightmare of tube replacement had ended, it's back.
Well, and I don't blame the people that buy these, because I think they're just genuinely trying to get to where they're going, and they just are trying to do it on a budget and low cost. But these manufacturers and the sites that sell them do not offer any help. There's no infrastructure. So when we talk about new brands coming into like e-bikes, I know that Pivot really struggled with Avinox putting that motor in their bikes, because they wanted the infrastructure in place that if their customers needed help, it would be there, and it wouldn't be just this shadow company that they have no help with. And so that was very important to them. And while these companies are selling these things,
there's no, back to we talked about that in the China episode. There's no infrastructure.
No infrastructure, no support. And then the customers are kind of like really in a place. Yep. And then we're the
solution.
Well, we're the ones that give them the bad news. Yeah. And so, of course, we get...
You almost need to have like a little sign, like, your sub $1,000 electric thing is very hard for us to work on. The price of the replacement is going to be more than you expect.
Yeah.
Understand that before you ask.
And not only that, but I do want like these companies to have some sort of like information, or it's obviously it grinds my gears because it's a tough spot. You know, we don't want that person to be stranded. We don't want them to not be able to be taken care of. At the same time, if I've got to spend 2 hours to change a tube on one of these things because I've got to take fenders off and support the wheel and do all of these things, and then you got to struggle with this tiny 12-inch wheel, and then maybe the only way you can get a tube is off of Amazon, you know, like all of these things come together to cause all of this inefficiency. And then if you're a customer who wants to work on this, it's going to be a nightmare. If we're having problems, imagine that.
And you've got all the specialty tools and the know-how and the experience.
And don't even get started on if there's an electrical problem. We've had a couple people come in where they're like, yeah, it's not working. Can you figure it out? And we're like, we have no resources to figure that out. There is nobody to support that. You need to take it where you bought it. Well, I bought it off Amazon. I don't know what to tell you. You have to take it to Amazon, I guess. I don't know what to do. And again, like after the fact, everybody finds this out after they spent the money, and the company selling that product is just got your money, and they're like down the road, like, hey, I got your money, and they've got no responsibility.
So it might be an interesting business model for someone to specialize in repairing inexpensive electric vehicles or electric bikes and scooters and stuff.
I have said that somebody doing that would have tons of business, but would they make any money? Yeah. That's the question. Because if we can't, at the efficiency that we have, if we can't make money doing that and then we can't charge what we need to, and the customer is not going to be happy.
So let's say you guys really understood the products. Because in this hypothetical world, like the person knows, like in general, how all these things work and how the electronics work and how to take the tires off and change them quickly and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is it that it just takes longer because they weren't designed to be maintained? Or is it that there's like what percentage of it is we just don't understand this product versus it's just a hard job to do?
Yeah. So imagine, mountain bikes when they first came out kind of had this pedigree of, you're going to be in the middle of nowhere and you may have to fix your bike. Yep. And so from very early on, they abandoned bolted wheels and put quick releases.
Yep.
So it would make it easier to change a flat.
Yep.
Because you're getting flats, you know.
Yep.
And then they kind of made the tires fairly easy to change, not like, specialty tools like.
Right.
And if
you can do it with your fingers if you know how.
Yeah. Or even the tire levers are compact and carryable.
Yep.
And they made tools to take along with it. Then they kind of standardized most of the tools so you could have kind of one multi-tool that worked for most of the bike. They didn't put a lot of random weird stuff or high leverage things where you have to take a crescent wrench with you or anything, except for the single speeders. But so the philosophy has always been there to like be able to work on this stuff. These inexpensive bikes kind of throw that out the window. The assembly of them to ship them is I think their main thought. Like, I need to take the wheels off just so that I can fit it in a smaller box and have a lower cost of shipping and get it somewhere. And then they can put it together. I have to make it so that they can put it together, but I don't want to, it's not made to be very serviceable.
Right.
And then they evidently in China or wherever these things are coming from, they've never heard of thorns at all. Like, they have no clue that there should be protection. And granted, our perspective is we have thorns everywhere here. And so getting a flat tire here is insanely easy. Yep. And not only that, but the thorns that if you stay on the road, the thorns will actually wash into the road during,
especially on the corners,
rain.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially in the corners when the cars kick them out and in the bike lanes.
So like screwed. You can do your best to avoid them, but you're going to get a flat. And so, then the bike comes in with like the least cost products that don't really hold up. And then, it's just, and they're kind of perpetuating some of those, cheap Chinese or whatever. Yeah. I can't say that it's always Chinese. I haven't really paid attention, but usually the idea is that it's just the cheapest possible product so that person will buy it.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing else. And that person is never, I feel like there should be some responsibility to who's selling it, that you have to do something if your product sucks, and there isn't.
Yeah. And
people are so willing to give up all of that to save money. And
just know.
Yeah.
If you buy from an off brand, you're probably not going to get support.
Yeah. I think it grinds my gears that we end up being the bad guys saying that we got to charge $25 to change a flat. And the person is like, well, I can't afford that. And we're like, I'm like, man,
don't know what to tell you.
Lots of YouTube on changing flats. You should probably work on that. It's just a lot of time and effort. So, and
I don't know. Could we do a clinic or something for local folks? I mean, I guess Bicus does that.
I think there's resources out there, but they're pretty slim. And then these particular products are not just a bike. I mean, they've got
anything,
heavy duty cables going to really heavy rear wheel motors. My big fear is that wheel drops out when you're trying to loosen the bolts.
Someone gets hurt.
No. It just yanks some wires out.
Oh, gotcha.
Now, are we liable? And so do I have to buy this guy a new motor because of this? And so like we are reluctant to take on that liability and that risk.
That risk,
Yeah. And then, and then these are commuters, so in most cases they need this for
This is how they get to work and
and
to
so
the grocery store.
They have this perception you bring it in and you just fix it like Discount Tire or something.
Yep.
And it's difficult for bike shops to handle that workload, and spread it out over time when the customer wants it right away. And then all of those things can be overcome if you have more money. If you come in and you're like, I need this today and I'll give you an extra $100, I'm sure the guys will hustle or we'll figure something
out how
out.
to get it done.
I'll call up a few people and be like, hey man, I got to bump you back a little bit. Is that okay? That's one of the things that people, when they come in the shop, they want their stuff now.
Uh-huh.
They're like, it's only 5 minutes, and you're like, no, it's 5 minutes after I do 6 more people in front of you.
Yeah. And it's really not 5 minutes.
And it's not, and it's not fair for me to slow their repairs down because you're standing in front of me, and that's not fair. And so people have a hard time with that. We do a good job of explaining it and letting them know. And we don't really like rush fees because that kind of promotes the idea that we can just bump whoever. But at the same time, if Joe Schmo is racing on Saturday and one of my customers is like, yeah, if it's done Saturday, that's great. And they're easy going, but they're not riding until Tuesday. I'll move stuff around. Yep. But for the most part, you don't want to always count on that happening.
Right on.
So, okay. That's enough on that.
All right. No, we got some good gear grinding there.
Yeah.
All right. So the next topic here is the hype reel. And, this is a personal, thing. I heard a lot of folks talking about riser bars, and I know these have gone in and out of vogue. In my time, we were talking about that earlier today.
Yeah.
They've been in, they've been out, they've been in, they've been out. But I recently experimented on one of my bikes with a 50 millimeter rise, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It felt so amazing. And then I rode it more and more, and I find myself just grabbing that one bike with the 50 millimeter rise, and I'm like, oh crap. So I literally put 50 millimeter rise bars on all my bikes, all my mountain bikes, my enduro bike, my e-bike, and my downcountry bike all have 50 millimeter rise, and I love it. I can't imagine I'd go back. But I heard a hypothesis recently that the reason why there's a trend, and I'm going to ask you if you think there is a trend, is because the bike companies are not making the stack height high enough, so to match the needs or desires of their customer base, and so the customers are adapting and just sticking on 50 millimeter or whatever, sticking on more rise bars to compensate. So a couple questions for you, like, are you seeing, are you selling a lot of rise bars? Are you seeing people move to it, and why do you think that is? Yeah,
so it I don't feel like there's been this huge rush where we're
okay,
but a lot of the people coming in to buy new bars are looking for the high rise, 30 to 50 in that range, and the I would say riser bars in general, and then whether or not they go to that height tends to be whether or not they're watching trends.
Okay.
In the olden days.
So I'm influenced by like Pink Bike telling me go higher.
I think
that's why I tried it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and then I tried it and I was like, oh damn, this is great.
Yeah. So like we talked earlier about how back in the olden days when I was a downhilling, there was all my downhill bikes had, 30 to 50 millimeter bars on them, and they were really high, and the front ends were super high, and there was a couch, and then there was this kind of like resurgence where the front end of bikes did get lower, or it seemed like they did.
Uh-huh.
I remember riding a Yeti. Man, I remember what that bike was called. I want to say a 357 or something. It was their downhill bike, and it had this weird shock on the back that would actually move on this ramp. And I remember being an outer bike, which was for dirt demo.
Yep.
And riding this thing, and it had flat bars on it. So it had a triple clamp, downhill fork, and flat bars. And the seat, even with it low, was almost the same height as the bars. Like, it was the weirdest feeling, and I hated it. Like, all my old downhill bikes back then were super high in the front. I felt like I was on a chopper, like like a motorcycle chopper, like super high in the front. And that trend became popular because there was a big dirt jump surge. Okay. And the dirt jumpers were growing into downhillers, and they liked a low front end for more tricks, more jumps. They could pull the bike up closer to them, more aerial stunts.
Okay.
At the same time, right after that, a few years after that, 29ers started to get more and more popular.
Yep.
And that 29er fork and wheel was taller. And so they were trying to drop the front end. Yep. And so the riser bars almost died for a little while.
Right.
And then they started doing these flat bars that had sweep like a riser, and that became super popular. And so because riser bars used to be the comfort bar. You know, back in the day, you would put these big risers on and it would get you more upright, the old people bar. Or
so whatever. Maybe that's why I like it, because I'm getting old. Yeah. I just turned 50. Yeah. Now I got to be in a more comfortable position. I do find that I got to be more specific about weighting the front
when you climb
with the yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say at all times.
Okay.
Because I'm up higher, which just shoots your weight more towards the back of the bike.
So when you sent this to me, I went and
did some research
and deep dove. And so I took 3 different brands, Pivot, Trek, and Specialized, and 2 types of bikes, the trail bikes, Trail Enduro.
I just want to comment, good on you for looking at Specialized.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying. There's a lot of people that ride them. A lot of misguided people, but I'm just kidding.
I'm one of those people.
Just kidding. So in the trail bikes, over like a 10-year period, so like from 2016, which I think, I want to say risers were just starting to come back after that kind of low bar.
Right.
So 2016 up to 26, what I noticed, because one of the things that made me want to do this is you mentioned the bike companies aren't making the bikes high enough.
Just a thought, is that, and I think I heard that on Pink Bike.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why?
Well, and so what I noticed, what I wanted to see is, are they getting higher or lower?
Like what's going on? What's going on? Yeah. What's the trend with stack height?
Yeah, a longer travel 29ers, are they so high now that they've lowered stuff? You know, or what? Right. You know, well, no, the stack height. So stack height, just for people to know, is the top of the headset cup down to a horizontal line where the cranks are. Okay. And so that is a number that you can relate to every bike. And it's one of those numbers that's easy to identify on every bike and compare, a lot like reach. And so
I take a horizontal line
from the cranks,
from the middle of the cranks, draw it straight across the world.
Yep.
Take a horizontal line from the top cap straight across the world.
Yep.
And then
measure. Not the top cap, the top of the headset. Before you put the spacers.
Got it.
Okay.
And then compare those two. What's the distance between those two lines?
Yep, exactly.
And even though they're in different places, like I guess horizontally.
Yeah.
But I got you.
And what it's not is the size of the head tube. Okay.
Correct.
So it's not that.
It's just the top of the head tube.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of people think stack is how tall your head tube is.
That's not that.
And in the olden days, they were much taller than they are now. They're much shorter.
Yep.
So my research showed that the change. So for pivot switchblades, they've over 10-year period, they've come up 28 millimeters.
That's a significant amount.
Which is pretty significant. Yeah. Trek Fuels, 28 millimeters. So,
wow. Okay.
And then Specialized Stump Jumper, 20 millimeters.
Okay.
So all these bikes have kind of come up. In the cross-country bikes,
not as much
of.
So those are like enduro category bikes you talked about.
Well, Stump Jumper is kind of trail.
Like trail
slash. Yeah, enduro. Those are all trail. So I think the Switchblade's closer to enduro than the other two, but you could. I can't remember if I included Evo on the Stump Jumper Evo, because that's more of a enduro.
More enduro.
So when you compare the Epic, the Mach 4 SL, and the Trek Pro Caliber, they have only been between 9 and 14 millimeters higher.
Okay.
So they have been higher, but that's kind of normal because that bike is meant to be more of an uphill bike,
right?
Whereas a trail bike's meant to be fairly neutral, and then downhill bikes are a downhill bike,
right?
And so the front end of the bike will change versus that. So that's just basic geometry. But what I think the trend is people are wanting to be a little more careful and more confident on rockier terrain.
Yep.
They're getting these bikes are going faster. The suspension's more capable on rougher terrain. And so I think being more upright helps your eyes. You're less likely to flip over the bars. And so I think that's a big trend. So I don't know what I've been looking at, and I haven't done enough research on, is these reverse stems that
I saw there's a female that's riding it in the downhill right now.
Yeah. There's a couple out there, and
that would be more of a reach thing though, right?
Well, so I saw an interview with the designer who came up with them. Yeah. And he's got a couple of different versions.
You should probably explain what it is for
so you may have seen this if you're watching social media. It's a stem that kind of comes straight up from the stem cap or even backwards.
Right.
And they're quite high. The original ones, I remember watching Berm Peak and just kind of laughing. This is before I knew who that guy was.
Seth Alva.
And before I was really
That's the one that's like 6 inches or 8 inches tall or something.
Huge, and it was goofy, and he's like, it's not that bad, and I'm like, it's stupid, like this is a stupid thing. It'll never work. And I said the things that everybody says, you know, and but listening to the designer and finding out what he's doing and why he's doing it, it's not horrible. It's not a horrible idea.
I almost feel like we should get a hold of one. I mean, it's been played out, so I don't think it's going to be good content.
He's got a new version. I think that's why it's getting recycled and coming up again. And then he's got these pro riders that are riding them. Right. So there's a little bit of momentum behind it, and I'm not 100% sure. But the idea is he's moving this the I don't know what you call it, the pivot point of your bars more onto where the contact patch is. And yes, exactly. Ooh. And it's like, wait a minute, that's a different concept. So instead of having the stem offset and kind of getting over your axle, which is kind of what we all used to think you were supposed to do. Yeah. He's kind of changing how the front end reacts.
Oh, for hell's sake. Now I got to try one.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So,
Dane, we're getting one.
I know. So it's, I don't know if it's a kooky thing or what. Most people that are riding them do agree that when you go to climb, it's not the best.
Are they still ridiculously expensive?
Yes, because most of them are one-off. I think you contact him and tell him what you're doing. Okay. So I didn't get into
it's like
the
$500 or something.
Yeah, they're
not cheap.
Yeah, I didn't get into the purchasing of one, but I know that his premise was that it's a little bit more custom than just buying a Berg Tech stem or a one-up stem or whatever. So it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So anyway, his idea is, again, being more upright, but also the control at which you're turning. Yeah. So these riser bars may be tapping a little into that,
Interesting.
So because, when they're on a bike, believe it or not, as you rise the bar, you're getting closer and closer to that center of the top cap because it's bringing you back farther. So it could be causing that. I don't know. It could be a comfort thing. I don't think the bikes are too low.
Well, I have been improving in my ability to tackle technical terrain, which today you rode with me in some really technical shit, and I did pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Foot down a couple times, but made it up everything.
Yeah.
And when I called Lacey on the way home from the ride, and I was like, this is what we rode. She's like, Jesus Christ, you rode that? And I was like, yeah. Dane just didn't even ask. He's just like, here we go. And I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. But I don't know how much of it's me getting better, or maybe those bars have helped me. I definitely feel more comfortable, and I don't ever feel like I'm going to go over the bars.
I think that's true. I think when you just get a little bit back. So my experience with the new bike and kind of playing with mullet versus 29, trying to figure out why the bike feels so different with two different wheels on it, and so much better for me with the 29.
Dual 29. You're back to the pivot amped now.
Yeah. And just kind of looking at the bike's geometry and kind of going, okay, that seat was really, really far over the back wheel. So I had all my weight on the back wheel. And for the way that we ride around here, we have to climb just as much as we descend. It's pay to play. If you want to go downhill, you got to go equal parts uphill.
Yep.
And so we're not really, and our uphills are on trail, not on dirt roads. So that's something that I get jealous about a lot of the P&W people. They got a forest road they climb up, and then they got these sweet downhills that they get to go down. So the forest road up is not really a super challenge. And if their geometry is kind of goofy, it's not really penalizing them.
You rode Beam Peaks recently. That's what
thing.
that's like, right? Yep. And that's also our concept for the Colossal Cave bike park.
Yeah, so it's not a bad thing. It's just that has a different demand than when you're doing a technical climb to get up and then a technical descent.
Yep.
And so getting your mass and centered over the bike is a little touchy. So I can tell you that when short stems and wide bars came out, that there was a big rush of people coming in for that, way more than this higher rise.
Right.
And the amount of people that came in getting 40 and 50 millimeter stems when they used to have 90, on their bikes.
It's a big difference.
And going with 800 bars versus, the 620s or whatever they were on. And
that made a huge difference in stability, opening up your chest so you can breathe. I could never go back to the skinny bars, man.
But I will tell you, we had a bunch of people that had adverse reactions when they did that because they put them on old geometry. So, when somebody's telling you about a new product and it rides great and it was designed that way, and then you try and apply it to something that has different, design features.
Who knows?
Like a short top tube, and now you've made it even shorter.
Right.
It kind of really can start to mess with it.
Can make it worse.
Yeah. So now here's the one thing I'll say about those high bars. It's not a big cost. It's not a lot of money.
No, I mean, I bought the inexpensive P&W bars. I think they were like $30 or $40.
Wow, that's cheap.
Maybe they're $50, but they weren't expensive.
Yeah, I would say normally 80.
Okay, they could have been 80. As a matter of fact, while we're talking, I'll just double check.
I would say alloy bars are kind of centered around $80 to $100, and then sometimes if they're high rise, they have to put more thought so they don't bend. So they may be a tad more for a high rise versus a.
All right, I'm looking them up right now.
Okay,
keep talking. So fill up some time while I'm looking this up.
And so then, so alloy in general's around 80-ish is pretty common, maybe 100. And then we've seen a lot of people coming in getting 50 mil, but also 30 mil.
So the bars that I have are the Range Handlebar Gen 4.
Okay.
And they are $69.
Okay. All right.
So that's right. Yeah, I had too cheap. But an inexpensive way to try it out. And I would imagine I could turn around and pull those off and sell them for $40 if I hated it.
Well, I was going to say reversible. So it's not like you're doing something that's
you're not cutting something that's going to change your bike forever.
Yep. Yeah. So it's worth a try. I would say being more upright definitely gives you more. You're going to get a little more weight over the back, so you have to watch out for your front end washing in corners and wanting to lift up a little bit more on climbs.
So you are seeing people more interested in the riser bars, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a difference between a lot of, if it's an actual trend and we're starting to see the bikes change because of it, or if it's just a few people think it's cool, and there's a lag in the industry. It doesn't automatically change.
Well, from one moderately talented 50-year-old rider, I can advise our listeners, if you haven't tried a high-rise bar, so check it out. Try it.
Qualify it. What do you think, if you were going to recommend it to somebody, what is it that you think it would do for them? What's two things that they would get out of it that made you like it?
More comfortable.
Okay. More upright.
Less neck pain, because I don't have to have my head at such a cocked angle when I'm pedaling.
Yeah.
Less back pain.
Okay.
I'm not young.
Yeah.
But then I think it helps me get over more chunky stuff.
Yeah.
With more confidence. And, previously before I put these on, every once or twice a month you get into a place where you feel like, oh shit, I'm going over the bars.
Yeah.
I haven't had that feeling one time since I put these bars on.
Yeah. I would say that you nailed it. Like all the things, if somebody came in and were asking about those things,
that's my experience, right?
Yeah.
Feels better. And plus it's cool just to drop my seat and chop her out. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Just to rest.
Yeah.
Which I do a lot.
Yeah. I think, if somebody came in on a cross country bike looking to get more KOMs, probably wouldn't recommend that.
But I have it on I don't have a cross country bike, but I have a down country bike.
Yeah.
I guess it's a cross country bike. It's an Epic Evo that we've extended. Yeah. But I have it on that too.
Yeah, I don't know if I would like my Mach 4 SL. I don't know if I'd put them on that.
You should try it. Just try it. Just try it. Just try it. It's like, just try it.
I could put mirrors on it too.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Jesus. All right.
Wait. I need like a phone mount and a computer mount.
Oh, here we go. Mirrors, phone mount, computer mount, and a little horn that goes.
Oh yeah, the Ooga horn. The Ooga.
So. All right. What's your hype topic? Or did you have one?
I don't have one.
Okay.
Mine, I think, was just talking about yours.
Okay, cool.
So,
And we spent plenty of time on that.
Yeah.
I will say we had the Manitou Mezzer Gen 2, but we decided that we want to spend a little bit more time researching that. And so we will talk about the new Manitou Mezzer Gen 2 in a future episode. So we're on to bang for the buck. You want to start or you want me to start?
I want you to start because you've done it the whole time, so we'll keep it consistent.
Okay. So you know what I noticed today on our ride?
What?
Just how planted my bike felt.
'Cause your bike's heavy.
No, honestly, I talk about it so much, but I'm like so in love with my suspension setup with the
coil,
with the coil in the back on both my big bikes. I have a coil in the back and a Zeb Ultimate on the front, and now I've got the Pike Ultimate on my downcountry bike, and it's just so awesome. And it's not even the current generation of either of those forks; it's the previous generation.
It's not the newest version.
Not the newest version, not with the butter wagons, but it does have the butter cups.
Yeah.
But man, does it feel amazing. Anyways, my bang for the buck is a fork thing. And it's not something that I've used. So really, I'm just kind of asking you what you think about this as the resident guru, suspension guru.
Okay.
So typically, if someone came to me and they were on a significant budget and they're like, hey, I want to upgrade my fork. I've got a shitty 35 on it or something. I would say, go get a Manitou. I'm sorry, go get a Marzocchi.
Okay.
I'd say get a Marzocchi. It's got the grip damper. It's a great damper in it. And it doesn't have a lot of adjustability, but it'll be amazing for the price, like budget fork. That's where I would have went. I've started to hear folks talk about RockShox Psylo and Domain forks in the same category. They're like $550.
$699. Depends.
Okay. Yeah. I'll double check that too. But when I looked them up, I thought they were $550 from SRAM's website. But I think there's different versions of them. So
and there's some that are OE only.
Correct.
So those are tricky. So
and then I went out and read a bunch of reviews, and it sounds like people kind of think of the Psylo and the Domain, and the Psylo is like a lower travel and the Domain's like a bigger travel.
Yeah.
Like the same way that I think of Marzocchi. So like, do you have experience with them? I noticed, I actually walked around your shop earlier, and you've got two bikes on the right-hand side that are more affordable price bikes that have, one's got a Domain, one's got a Psylo. Yep. Like, what's your thoughts on those?
So, they're good forks. So, they're, the Domain uses a simple cartridge springback IFP damper. I can't remember what they call it. Isolator. And that is on the one that you can buy aftermarket. You can get some of these where they don't have any compression adjustments. It tripped me out the first time I saw one because I'm so used to seeing forks where you've got like your lockout switch on the top and your rebound on the bottom. And I had a Zeb show up and a Domain show up where they had no compression. It was just a top cap. There's like nothing. It was the weirdest thing.
Whoa.
You know? Yeah. And so it was just adjustable rebound. And those are usually OE only. And then the damping system is pretty simple, but works good. I would say it's on par with a lot of the similar price. So, and then I think RockShox is doing a good job on their bushings and seals.
Yep.
So they're doing a good job of keeping them smooth at the lower price points. It's a fair comparison against the Marzocchi stuff.
Okay.
It's really, really similar. Just Marzocchi is basically the lower price point with Fox technology. And then the same thing for these RockShox. I had the Psylo on one of my bikes, and it's a good fork. It works well. Both forks I feel like perform better than the 35, and I haven't gotten a lot of time inside them because they're fairly new.
So a couple things. I just verified the price from SRAM's website.
Okay.
For the Gold RC, which is the top, I think the top version of both these.
Okay.
It's $599 for the Psylo.
Okay.
It's $639 for the Domain.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was a little bit off.
Yeah.
Similar to the Marzocchi, you said, haven't spent any time inside of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just was stoked to see that there was.
I think they're very viable forks.
Okay. You wouldn't like steer people away from them.
So if you were buying a bike and your budget limits you to this fork,
this category,
I wouldn't tell you have to immediately get rid of it.
Okay.
I would say ride it, have a good time with it. And then if you find like you're wanting more performance down the road, then maybe worth it. Whereas like, there was a little trend for a little while. I think these forks are kind of trying to address the issue where there was a trend where bike companies were putting out pretty good frames and pretty good parts
with shitty forks.
With a shitty fork.
And that's what I read is that RockShox is going away from the 35.
Yeah.
And that this is going to be their budget offering. Have you heard that?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I haven't really been digging into that category.
Because we've established that the 35 is just garbage.
Well, I have a lot to sell, so we can't say that.
But I mean, honestly, though, what
the 35, I would say is a good attempt at a low price fork, and it beats some of the other brands that are even lower.
Okay.
And what I was seeing is bike brands were making $1,200 to $1,500 bikes, hardtails, with this low end company, like a Sun Tour with like steel stanchions or even steel springs.
Something that just did not perform like a 35.
It did not even perform like a 35 and really wasn't worthy. That bike was so much nicer than that fork would let it be. And so that would be the bike that somebody would come in and I would say, hey, as soon as you can, let's get you a different fork. And then I would sell them one of my takeoff 35s, or we would go to like one of these forks or a Marzocchi. And it would really transform that bike into what it could be. It wasn't holding it back, whereas the other forks were holding that bike back.
So if you have one of those off brands, and we talked about them in our suspension with Spinner and some of the Sun Tours.
Sun Tour can make really high end, but they're known for their low end.
For the low end,
and usually when you see them, they're not good. They're picked for the price, not for the performance.
Right.
So.
But you would recommend Marzocchi or a Psylo or a Domain to someone as like a moderate upgrade.
I don't know if I would sell them that aftermarket. So that's the tricky part.
Okay.
If you came in and it was $639 for this one and $799 for a performance series Fox. or something like that.
Right.
That gets a little harder.
Okay.
Because there is some upgrades that you get. So we have a customer that had a Domain, and we put a 38, and it was obvious the fork was better. It was so. And
that's not what they're trying to compete with, but yes.
Well, that's what a Domain competes with, and so the Fox 38 is a higher price. But
wouldn't the Domain compete with the big Marzocchi bomber more than the 38?
Well, the category is the 38. So that category, Enduro fork.
Okay.
So
is there a Marzocchi Enduro fork?
Yeah, like the Z1.
Okay, so wouldn't the Z1 compete with the Domain?
Yeah. And so they're all
in the same. And then the 38's
yeah.
like a step above both those.
Yeah.
Okay.
The real close. They're very similar. All three are really similar, and they have different attributes that make them more appealing. The Domain tends the biggest attribute to that is the price. Yeah. The Marzocchi is probably the price for performance, and then the Fox is performance.
Gotcha.
And so, depending on what's important to you, Okay. So if you want a lot of performance, but you want it as cheap as possible, that Domain's gonna be great. If performance and a little extra money is not a big deal because you really want that performance, you're going to go to 38. And then if you're in between,
or Zeb,
Zeb. I will tell you the Zeb Ultimate is amazing.
But the other Zeb's not great.
Once you go down, it gets a little harder.
I will tell you, I didn't, because I started with a Zeb that wasn't a Zeb Select, and you swapped out all the guts inside, and it lit that thing up.
Yeah, and
so I can resonate with what you're saying.
I would say that RockShox has an opportunity to make their lower end stuff way better.
Yeah,
if they just get those buttercups in those in those Select Pluses and Select forks. I think that buttercup technology needs to trickle down more.
Yeah.
And I think it makes such a difference to the everyday rider that having a 3.1 damper or 3.2 or whatever damper with high speed and low speed is less important than the Buttercup.
Yeah.
And I think the Buttercup being put in like a Select Plus fork would
be fantastic.
They would be a game changer. You know, that fork would outsell all of the Foxes in that same category.
Yeah.
So
there you go, RockShox. And I just dawned on me that I'm turning into a RockShox zealot the same way I'm a Shimano zealot, which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been, I'm such a DVO guy, but I've been really, I'm decided that I need to try some different stuff. Yeah. I rode RockShox for a while, and the new bike that I'm building is going to have it on there. It's going to have some special stuff.
Is that the Zeb Ultimate over there?
Yeah, Zeb Ultimate Flight Attendant.
Yeah.
So I'll be on that stuff. I really want to try out the new 38. I had it on the Amped.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough of a difference, but I want to kind of give it more of a chance.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of intrigued by that new MRP.
Yeah.
And the new Measure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we got some stuff to go.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. I just trying to figure out which one really has the best for me, and then which one is the hype, and which one's you know, whether it's real or not, or if it's just a subtle change that nobody's going to notice, but they make you feel like you have to buy it.
Right.
Those are big things that I want to try and figure out.
Right on, man. Well, do you have a bang for the buck you want to talk about? Or are we good? We've got an hour and 10 minutes here.
I don't have anything that's popped up
recently.
Away.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll try and think of something good for next one, because that's one of my favorite categories. Mm-hmm. And, I would say, when people come in here, I love getting bang for the buck stuff for them.
Yep.
Because we love selling high end, and we sell a lot of high end. But man, if I can get you high end and it doesn't hit your pocketbook like
it's
high
hard.
end,
That's
great.
Nice. That's great.
So,
all right, brother. Any final thoughts for our listeners here?
I think that's it.
Right on, man. Appreciate you.